Rockwall Independent School District voters are about to choose a new trustee, and while two of the three never responded to my invitation to be here, the frontrunner in the race isn't afraid of tough questions, which is why he's here. Because it's that time again, time for some straight talk. I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, and this is a special edition of The Bunker Bob Show. Greetings, thrill seekers, music lovers, conversationalists from across the fruited plains of the great state of Texas. I am your host, Bunker Bob Steinhagen, bringing you an in-depth look at the frontrunner running for RISD Trustee in Place 5. Now, I'm grateful to have you watching today on the Bunker Cam via Rumble, YouTube, or Facebook, and welcome my podcast listeners who are out walking, driving in their cars, or wherever they're listening via Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, or Podcast Addict, just to name a few. Now, this is the fifth election season that I have held these forums, which provides candidates the opportunity to put their best foot forward, and is why, as I have always done, along with the invitation to participate, each candidate in the race received a copy of the questions to help them decide if they want to participate, which also helps ensure that you'll only hear from serious candidates that are willing to answer hard questions. Now, rather than trying to cover countless questions that limit candidates to short-form answers, I focus on 10, all without time constraints, so we can drill down on each issue. Now, before I begin with each candidate, I always let them know that they can re-answer or restate anything they say, because the purpose of this forum is to allow them to be the best that they can be. So let me introduce Steve Albers. Now, he was born and raised in Plano, Texas, and experienced the charm of small-town life while spending time at his parents' home in Fayette County, Texas, between LaGrange and Brenham. Steve was a mechanical engineering major at the greatest university on the planet, Texas A&M University, before deciding, and this is what I can't understand, deciding to attend vet school to follow his true passion of working with animals. Do you have an engineering degree?
I'd stopped about a semester and a half short of getting my engineering degree, to my parents' chagrin. Yes.
And what was the focus?
Mechanical.
Mechanical. Oh,
yeah, so
man.
It'd have been a good
you put
one.
in some
I think I'd have been all right either way, but yeah, I followed my passion. I'd realized that's what I was doing every summer, and somebody mentioned, well, you know, why don't you do that for a living? I don't know why I didn't think of that. I was good at engineering and good enough to switch to vet school and pivot, so I pivoted and just went headlong into it.
Dang, yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, upon graduation, Steve accepted a position at Rockwall County Vet Clinic, as the lifestyle of Rockwall County was a better fit than Plano. Gee, I can't understand why. Shortly after moving to Rockwall, Steve met Mitzi on a blind date, and a little over a year later, they were married and just celebrated their 20th wedding anniversary in March. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good
Thank
stuff. Well, Rockwall is where Steve and Mitzi have chosen to raise their three children. Their eldest daughter, who is obviously an underachieving freshman, which is why she chose to attend that school in Austin, whose name shall never be mentioned in the bunker, is majoring in neuroscience. Dang,
I know, and I still don't fully understand what that means, to be honest with you. That's the funny thing about it. But yeah, she's a hard worker. We're proud of her.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Okay.
And their middle daughter, Karis, is a junior at Rockwall High School and has recently received a scholarship to play lacrosse at Florida State University. Dang, that's pretty impressive.
We're a lacrosse family, and it stemmed from the guy that brought it to Plano when I was growing up, went to Cornell.
Really?
With lacrosse.
So you played lacrosse as well?
I did a whole year.
Wow.
Which makes me an expert in Texas.
Our daughter played, and we never ever understood the rules. So that's
quite a bit different.
Yeah, I bet you actually understand the rules.
And the girls' rules are so much different than the boys.
Is it?
Yeah, the two are very. My son plays as well, and he watches his sisters, and he's says, "What in the world are they doing out there?"
I didn't know that.
I coached the girls for a long time because, like I said, I'm one of the only ones that even had any lacrosse experience, and so I know the girls' rules better than the boys, to be honest. And it's been a fun thing, and it's paid off for our my oldest daughter, Campbell, not to go backwards, but she plays on the club team at UT.
Man,
so they've all grown to love it. And so, I'm glad we kind of pushed it on them for a little bit, but they've taken it and run with it.
Yeah, lacrosse has gotten really big in Rockwall. They've got a big team.
Yes. It's growing.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. Well, they also have a son, Truett, who is in the 8th grade at Williams, where he is the last chance for Steve and Mitzi to finally have an Aggie, maybe? Is that a possibility?
That's possible. That is definitely a possibility.
So please pray. All right. Well, when not working at what has become the largest veterinary clinic in Rockwall County or spending time with his family, Steve served on the Animal Advisory Board for the City of Rockwall and has enjoyed coaching youth sports for the last several years. Steve, it is great to have you on the show.
Yes, sir. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, let's get going. Well, the first question is an easy one. Why are you running?
There is really no more important job I can think of. Why would I want to do anything else? I've been busy my time here as a veterinarian and spending time with my family. And now that we've got one out of the nest, I've found enough time to feel like I can really give back. And, I've got a vested interest, obviously. I've had kids in the Rockwall schools for a long time now with 3 and got 2 still coming up. We've already covered that base.
Yeah.
So, my wife and I decided to stay here for the schools, and we love the community as well. We're both really smaller town people, my wife and I, and, that's what really drew us here. And so for us, or for myself, we can't fail the kids.
Yeah.
We've got to keep the schools stronger, make them even stronger. I feel like we're at a pivotal point in the school system where we started, where you had to be on a waiting list to get a teaching job here.
Wow.
And now, we are at a shortage of teachers. So I feel like it's an important job, and it's a good time for me to get in the ring of service.
Well, with your experience as your kids have come through, I mean, it's obviously been a fairly good experience, I'm guessing.
It has been a good experience.
Yeah, and so, your daughter's studying neuroscience. Does she feel like she was prepared well for college?
She does. She feels like she was very well prepared. She had some amazing teachers. It's been obvious that we've had more substitutes and we've had more new teachers, and we've lost some experience there. And that's something that I've seen personally. We need to be able to hang on to our good experienced teachers, and we need to be able to attract new quality teachers. And so I feel like we have seen a little bit of a change, but I don't feel like it's too late to make a charge and bring that strength back and make us one of the best.
Just out of curiosity, I didn't ask. Were they Yellow Jackets or Hawks?
They are Yellow Jackets.
Yellow Jackets. Okay,
Yes.
very good.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
All right. Well, the next question is, do you have a faith? And if so, what is it? And how will it guide you when elected? Steve?
I'm a Christian. I was raised Lutheran by my parents. They're from a small town, as you said already, between Brenham and LaGrange down there, and grew up in the church, spent lots of time there. And I think what it did for me and what it's done for me is a strong sense of right and wrong, a sense of it's not about me. I think that's also important in being on the school board. It's not about me. Yes, I have a vested interest. Yes, I want what's best for my children, but I want what's best for everyone's children, want what's best for my community. And that sense of there's a greater purpose, there's something greater to serve, aligns well with this position.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. Well, in your view, what are the best attributes of Rockwall schools, and what do you see as the greatest areas for improvement?
Hands down, the greatest attribute are those kids. The people in the schools, starting with the kids, right? Those kids come from families in our community that are, I believe, strong families that believe in community, and they emphasize their kids' education. Those families believe in in the sense of community, and that transitions to the schools. So our school systems have a sense of community, and you only have to go to a few athletic events or a few other academic competitions to see that. We're the biggest area that we have to be concerned about or can improve upon would be making sure we're competitive to attract and retain those teachers that are in charge of educating our kids.
So when you say competitive, what do you mean by that?
I mean, right now we are actually behind in teacher pay from our competitors.
Okay. And who do you see as the primary competitors?
Well, Royce City, Wiley, Allen, Plano, just to name a few. So or myself are not looking at any data points from way off in the distance. We're looking at people real close to home. And unfortunately, we're behind. And so we need to right that wrong. I don't think anybody would say that we should be behind any of those other communities. I think the competitive side in me, which I think our whole community has, is that we should be right there, if not above those other. I think our community would be the decision maker. We don't have to pay twice as much because we're Rockwall, we're Heath, right? We're McClendon Chisholm, we're Fate. We've got strong community that should attract as long as we're competitive.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, is there a specific issue or set of issues on which you wish to focus if elected? You've kind of hinted at this, but let's get a little deeper.
Well, yeah. I'm going to sound like a broken record.
It's okay.
My biggest focus right now has to be, again, the competitiveness to keep and attract teachers. You can't run a school system and expect our kids to come out well educated without that foundation.
Teacher pay is certainly a factor in that, but you look at private schools, for instance, that pay their teachers far less than public schools do. They're doing it obviously for a different reason, because it's a great environment. They can actually teach. What do you think that Heath offers that other schools don't, that maybe we need to bolster or actually get behind a little bit more?
Well, I feel like I'm a public school kid.
Yeah, me too.
My kids
me too.
My kids are public school kids. Mm-hmm. I feel like in a community like this, we should, like you said, our schools should be safe and are safe. We should have the technology. We should have the resources that a private school would have to attract teachers. To me, it should be a win-win. That's why you move to a community like Rockwall, is that we should compete with private schools. I'm not against private schools. If somebody wants to, send their kid to a private school, great. I'm competitive, and so I want my kids' public school education to be just as good.
Very good. And by the way, I am a private school parent, so I'm a public school
more power to you. Yeah, that's
product of a public school, but private school parent.
I've told my kids play lacrosse, so I mean there'd be some benefits to private schools there, but we stick with the public.
Why? But I mean, from what I understand, there's very competitive. The
Rockwall is extremely competitive. Got a great organization on the boys and girls side.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, RISD ranks in the top 20% of Texas school districts overall, including reading and language arts proficiency, the top 10% for math and science proficiency, the top 5% in graduation rate, and top 1% for the most diverse schools and largest student body. What must the school board do to ensure that the district maintains or even improves on its success in these critical areas? What do you think?
Well, first I want to say those are great statistics, but personally, they're not good enough.
Okay.
I mean, the first one we threw out was top 20%. I don't know anybody that moved here and lives here that's doing backflips for a solid B. And that's certainly not me. And if that's what you're striving for your kiddos, then I'm probably not your guy, to be honest. That's not what I'm striving for. I want those that want to be able to be exceptional to be able to be fostered into being exceptional when it comes to their career and their life after school. So I think that the way we get there, and again I'm sounding like a broken record, but I think that the way we get there is maintain our strong arsenal of teachers, really. And again, I understand I sound like a broken record, but really, it's also we're doing a lot right. Obviously, I mean, top 10%, top 5%. We have a over 99% graduation rate. It's pretty impressed by that. But again, that's not. I'm not one to look to graduate.
Yeah.
Right. We're not. We didn't make it this far just to come this far. Right. That's what the kids say now.
Do you know if the district does evaluations on college acceptance and those who actually finish college? Because at A&M, I was on the board of the political science department for years, and one of the things that really struck me was that that half of all entering freshmen will not graduate from Texas A&M, and it's because they're trying to get rid of these kids. So is that something? Are you aware of?
I don't know the statistics,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they could be attained. I'm sure there's somebody that I could ask about that. I will say that I feel like, just like my education, I grew up in Plano with a steady dose of small town where my parents grew up, had a strong, what I felt like big city education with the small town background.
Yeah.
I think we have that all in one here in Rockwall. I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's why my wife and I chose to stay here. And I think that instills attributes in our kids. As long as we provide them that good education, they have those morals and those standards that our families provide to them to be successful in college. So I would expect that number for Rockwall to far exceed any other, average for sure, of school districts.
Very good. Excellent. Well, the return on the investment of a college or university degree is not what it used to be regarding an individual's ability to find work or achieve their life goals, especially when the average cost of a college in the United States is over $38,000 per student per year. It's why Texas has seen a significant shift among high school students who are interested in focusing on career in the military or a trade, many of which provide a much higher lifetime income potential compared to those with a college degree. What is RISD doing well to prepare students who are heading toward careers that don't require a university degree? And what improvements can the school board make to improve it? What do you think?
I love this topic.
Yeah.
So did you know that Rockwall has a strong dual credit program where our high school kids can take classes for their high school resume that also
Transfers to college.
Transfers to college for
Yeah.
ours. So maybe we can whittle down that 38,000 per year number by starting school with some college credit. Well, I know
Great
we
point.
can.
Great
right?
point.
I know several kids that have actually come through my vet clinic that are super, ambitious, and they've started as sophomores. Some of them.
Yeah, some of them can even get 2 years out of the way.
My daughter graduated with a medical assistant certificate.
Dang.
She's an MA
Dang.
right out of high school,
Wow.
right? So she could, there's a lot of great people out there, adults that are MAs that are raising their families, supporting their families and their lifestyle with that. And my daughter, it's amazing to me.
It is.
I mean, I had a strong education, but I didn't have that.
I didn't either. I agree.
Right?
I agree.
But as far as the non-college route, which I think is fantastic, it's not for everybody. It needs to be fostered. We have some of our strongest community leaders that chose that route, right? And I think they would profess that it's not college or bust. And so we have over 70 CTE programs, which is career and technical education, right? We also just initiated a junior ROTC program.
Oh, really? I did not know that. Wow,
So
because we've
last
talked
year.
about that in the last few years.
Yes,
And
yes,
okay,
it
so
just
that's
happened.
And
Yes, I believe
is
it's
it
with the Marines.
Marines? I was wondering.
Correct.
Okay, wow.
Yes, and I'm sure there's more to come.
Yeah, I'm sure.
What I would like to see, I think part of the question was how would I improve that? I would love to see some of those programs instituted now in those freshman centers.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So we've got the 9th grade Rockwall, 9th grade Heath, and I think those students are ready. I think they're already thinking about it. Again, it stems back to our families. Our families aren't passive parents. They're
That's
active.
so true.
They're active parents, and I think they're talking to their kids early on, and why not start dabbling? I mean, we talked about I thought I was going to be an engineer because I was good at it, right? I had great parents, but they probably didn't emphasize what are you going to do the rest of your life. I guess they just trusted I'd figure it out, and that works sometimes. But our parents talked to our kids about those things, so started early.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, last November, voters rejected all 4 of RISD's proposed school bonds that would have resulted in a 17% tax rate increase on property owners. The bond initiative included an increase in teacher pay, the construction of 2 new elementary schools, renovations and upgrades to other campuses, expanding career and technical education spaces, new buses, technology upgrades, and the renovation and expansion of the district's football stadium, among others. So why did you support or oppose last year's bond initiatives? And then explain what it would take for you to support taking another bite at the proverbial apple by presenting voters with another bond initiative next year.
That's the hot topic, right?
This is,
That's
yes.
what we've been leading up to.
Yes,
So,
it is.
As a voter, I checked yes on the Vader.
Okay.
Liked the education bond parts of the bonds. I said no to the stadium improvements, and I'm a sports guy. That was kind of tough, but at the same time, it was a lot to swallow all at once. It was a big package, and I don't like taxes either, right? Right? But I do support taxes that help our community, and obviously these do. Folks need to know that if that's presented, and I believe it will be again, that it's an a la carte thing. We don't have to pull the lever yes or no on everything that's presented. We can say yes or no, and I did. I exercised my right to say no because I just thought, let's do the most important first. The stadium can wait. I know it's old. People will probably be angry with me. But the Vader, we have to, I feel like, we really have to do that to support what we've talked about already so many times, to make us competitive, support our teachers, show our teachers that we appreciate them, and in a financial way, which is one of the most important ways these days. None of us want to work for less than we're worth.
Yeah.
And they can look across county lines and find more worth, unfortunately. So let's not have that happen. The construction bonds, the folks on the south side need a couple more elementary schools. We've got kids in temporary buildings out there, and growth is happening. I think we just passed city council 1,000 more homes. That's going to equate to, from what I hear, we're calculating 1 kid per household. Used to be less, but I think we undershot in some of those calculations. So 1,000 more kids. I mean, the growth is coming. We can't stop it. Some folks would like to, and granted, we love our small town feel, right? But people still want to live here. Let's keep people wanting to live here, right? They want to live here because our schools are strong.
Yeah.
Our community is strong. So I believe, while I don't like to be taxed any more than I have to, I believe that that's something worth paying for. We don't shy away from, paying taxes for the fire department or the police department. And frankly, I've never used those guys. Thank goodness. Actually, police department, I've used you. But thank goodness I've never had to pay the fire department. I don't complain about paying taxes for that, right? And I don't think we should complain about the school part of our taxes either. So, I don't want to be the most expensive, throw money at everything. That's not what I am. I fix my own plumbing and try to do things myself. So that's how I think.
Of course.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that's how I think. But can we be at least in the middle? Or the Vader would have still had us towards the bottom. If the Vader had passed, our tax rates would still be towards the bottom. Those are the things that stuck with me when I went to the Myth versus Reality series. Is that they weren't asking for a lot. They were asking for, let's be competitive.
Okay.
And I appreciated that. And I think now you can easily get a lot of information on the internet, on the websites for RISD. And I mean, I'm a tech dummy, and I found it really easy.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Well, many voters were troubled by the way the Rockwall School District engaged in the bond election. First, the district's own calculations show that the proposed $848 million in bonds would have actually resulted in a $1.53 billion burden on taxpayers when calculating for interest. which is 80% more than the amounts that voters saw on the ballot. Faculty and staff were encouraged to talk up the bond initiative with students in hopes of adding pressure on parents, and many did, since one of the bonds would increase their pay. Add to that, the district spent taxpayer dollars not to quote-unquote campaign, since spending school resources on political advertising would violate state law, but to inform voters about it through a dedicated website, multiple mailers, large signs posted on school campuses, and several videos featuring school employees, and even one video using students to promote the bonds. So if you are elected, what, if anything, will change in the way the district engages voters when future bond propositions are put on the ballot? And how will you go about making those changes?
Well, something that really stands out to me on that is that nobody should be putting our students in the middle. They should be held at the top. They should be the focus, and they should be above everything there. That does cut both ways. They shouldn't be used as campaigners, but they also shouldn't be paying the price for as collateral damage for a potentially political backlash on the subject.
What do you mean collateral damage?
Well, I mean, it seemed the backlash on, asking for all this money. I feel like now that the information is out there, it looks like money well spent.
I think for a lot of citizens, they had heartburn over the fact that this kind of was kind of thrown at them. There was very little true information about it, and so I think a lot of people kind of resented the way that was presented. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I was confused.
Okay,
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
As a voter, I was confused by the whole thing. You had to take an active process in finding information. You don't have to work too hard now. You have the Where Does the Money Go series. You have the myth versus reality. I took the opportunity to go to the first session there, and it was eye-opening to hear and see where we stand versus our competitive districts. We're near the bottom financially, right? We're at the top efficiently, right, and efficiency, but we're near the bottom in what we can provide fiscally to our schools and parents. Now that all the information is out, personally, and it took me a bit of asking questions, that sort of thing, to get there. So how would the question is really focused on how are we going to see this again, and how the campaign was, how the school district used taxpayer dollars to basically campaign. That's the way a lot of people saw it. Right. So, yeah. Don't campaign with taxpayer dollars. Provide information. Mm-hmm. I think that's what's happening again with the myth versus reality series. I think they're flat numbers and they're eye popping. We're at $1.02 on a tax rate. Roy City's at $1.25. How does that strike you? To me, it's shocking. Now, again, I don't want to chase everybody else's numbers. I don't even want to, it's not a competition, right? We're not trying to best everybody and pay the most tax.
Right.
But that's a heck of a discrepancy.
Well, I guess it could be, but if you're spending money more efficiently, then that could be a reason.
That's also right.
There's a lot of reasons. I think the struggle for, as a taxpayer, most taxpayers are concerned. Don't just throw us, don't just throw money, a dollar figure at us, and don't tell us it's only a cup of coffee a day, that we're giving up. What we're looking for is, how is this really going to improve education for the students?
Correct.
And measurable outcomes would be, I guess, a lot of taxpayers are kind of looking for that.
And I wish I had the numbers to give to everybody right now. They're in the presentation, and I will say that is out there. And it is eye-popping. What we're doing with less is amazing. It's great. And I think, again, it's a combination of our administration, our teachers, and our families. Our families don't want to let their kids fail. The teachers that we're able to hang on to, I believe people that are making these decisions and keeping things, they are efficient when you look at the numbers. They're people in administration with degrees in efficiency. There's David Carter, who runs the series. I mean, guy's sharp. Dr. Gist, who's at everything and always, behind the scenes and at the forefront. I'm glad I'm not running against her. She's the most likable person you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
But, so we are efficient. It's not me yet. I hope to be. I hope to say we. But our school district is efficient. We are pulling fewer tax dollars than our neighbors are. So I think the results speak for themselves, and let's not let things slide. I think this is a turning point where we can either become East Dallas or we can stay Rockwall, and we can do it in a moderate way.
Yeah, and so I told you earlier that I'm a parent of a private school kid, and ultimately we chose private school primarily because there's some things that the public school can't prevent. Certain ideologies that are not necessarily taught, but that can't be prohibited. If you see what I mean. And so I think for a lot of parents that are concerned about about how their children are being led or taught the mores of the school, how does the school district maintain the high quality and not kind of get distracted by all of the nonsense? I'm just going to say the word woke, for lack of a better term, since this has permeated everything in government. And so how do we prevent things like that?
Well, I personally believe that schools are for reading, writing, and arithmetic, right?
I agree. I love that.
The moral and ethical things and lifestyle things, that's for families at home. So any board that I'm a part of will do everything that we can, like you said, legally, to keep things reading, writing, arithmetic, and not, somebody said something not too long ago that really struck a chord. This was an Ivy League guy that was not happy with the Ivies anymore, and I think we're seeing a bit of that, right?
Yes.
You understand that?
Definitely.
And he said, it's really changed from now they're trying to teach the kids what to think instead of how to think.
Exactly.
And so any school district I'm involved with, if I have any kind of decision-making power, it's teach the kids how to think. So we shouldn't be getting involved in what to think.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Well, as with any public school, there are many stakeholders who are engaged in the education of our children, which includes students, parents, faculty, staff, administrators, taxpayers, state regulators, and vendors, all of which are represented by the Board of Trustees, on which you're running to serve. As a school board member, who do you see as your primary constituent, and how do you intend to make sure that you are listening to their concerns? Steve, what do you think?
Well, the students are my primary concern. They're the most.
But who is your primary constituent?
Right, since they don't vote.
Right. Well, I mean,
You're right.
Who do you answer to? I guess is the question.
Yeah, after the students, it's the taxpayers. Right. So they need to trust that if I'm on the board or whoever's on the board, they hear them and they are good stewards of their money. I probably already said I don't enjoy taxes. Right, I'd love to see them get it done without any. We can't. It's death and taxes, right? Unfortunately,
Right.
It's a fact of life. But so the public has to understand, and we have to allow them. We have to give them the information. I've already said that's one thing I would really be fine with spending money on. I think that's a great way to spend money, is just to inform. I've already said we've got great families. We've got great people here. They're smart.
Yep.
Let people make up their own minds, but I'm a veterinarian and I have people come into the clinic and they've Googled, what's wrong with their pets, and sometimes they're right, but sometimes they're not, So, we always tell people, well, let's try to stick to, like, were you on a veterinary school website, or, were you on something other than Nextdoor, or, right? Something like that. So I would say this is as important as that. So let's stick to not just gossip, not just what this guy or that gal thinks, and let's the school district is going to put numbers out that they can back up. They don't want to get caught with their hand in the cookie jar. So, let's provide all the information we can.
Very good. Thank you. Well, as part of their core values and mission, RISD has adopted 9 outcomes that they hold as a goal for every graduate. Now, if you were forced to choose one and only one outcome from the 9 that best reflects your hope that every student might take away, which would it be and why? This is, I know everybody hates this question, but it's...
I love this question.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I love it.
All right.
But will you run them down for me so I can pick the one?
Yeah, they're right there. Yep.
I was actually just teasing you. Look at that. That's great. I don't have to look at it. No, so the one that popped out at me right away was demonstrate resilience to navigate adversity and educational challenges.
Huh.
If we can it's everybody probably picks the first one. I don't know. But if we could have all of our students, that's what I want for my kids. Like I said, I'd be perfectly fine whatever career they choose as long as they're passionate about it and work hard at it. Resilience might be something that, communities that are sliding are lacking. I feel like resilience is what got most of us into a position to move to a place like Rockwall if we can choose, right? Resilient people work hard, they overcome, we're going to fail. Kids are going to fail at, hopefully not fail all the classes, but kids are going to fail at challenges. But if we can foster resilience, and maybe I don't want to get into too many specifics, but I thought hopefully we're allowing kids a second chance, in schools, and not making them feel like, I know mental health comes up. Don't make them feel like if I fail, it's the end of the world. Now, don't give them an easy out, right? But there are ways to provide kids with the idea that if I work hard enough, I'm going to get through this. And that's why I like resilience, and they carry that through their whole lives. I was raised that way. Again, small town parents, I was taught you work hard enough, you're going to eventually get where you want to be, and that's what I want for our kids.
Kind of dovetails well into one of the points that you had made earlier about being critical thinkers, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Correct. Well, I mean, if you're not going to give up, you better get creative.
Yeah.
If you don't get it right the first time, where'd you go wrong? Find a different path, and we probably all have found different paths, and it's hopefully worked out for most of us.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, now is your chance to tell voters why you are the best choice to be their representative on the Rockwall Independent School District Board. Steve Albers, take it away.
I'm a compassionate, common sense conservative. I've got a strong personal interest in the strength of our school district with children in our schools. I can't fail. I can't fail my children. I can't fail your children. We will have to work together as a community to make sure that our school district stays strong in areas that we are strong and improve in areas that we can improve. I believe that it takes a village. I think it takes a combination of great families and parents and great teachers. I've got my own story of that. I'm a product of that. I don't think I've said yet that my first day of kindergarten, my mom picked me up and said, "Hey, Stephen," it's my given name. She's the only one who calls me Stephen. "Hey, Stephen, how was your day at school?" I said, "I quit." She was a great parent, or at least better than average, and didn't let me quit. So we went to we kept going to kindergarten and got through, and in 6th grade is where the teachers really came through for me. Couple of the teachers called my mom and said, "Hey, we need to have a meeting. It's about Stephen." She said, "Uh-oh." What did he do? And they said, no, it's nothing bad. That's we think Stephen's smarter than he's letting on. And she said, "My Stephen?" She had already pegged me as a dumb jock, So she was. They're great parents. They're gonna love me no matter, right? But those teachers that cared, those teachers that were great at their job, they saw something in me that even my parents were willing to overlook. And that's what we have to have for our kids. No telling what path I would have taken without those two teachers. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. My parents are great, but those two changed the path of my life, from just wanting to be a football player, which we know doesn't work out too well for many of the kids, to now a veterinarian, which I love. At the end of the day, it's about the kids. I want to try to create that environment. I want to try to pay it back what my school district gave to me, for my children and your children. I just ask for your support. I'm a work hard, don't want to disappoint anybody. Made a living. My career now is helping helping animals that can't help themselves. Our kids depend on us. It's similar. I have to communicate with parents who essentially are my boss, is the way I would look at it, and create the best environment for our kids. So I appreciate your support, and I just want the best for our kids.
Now, as you can tell, Steve Albers truly desires to earn your vote. Now, if you have more questions of him or wish to know more about his campaign, I've posted links to his website and Facebook page in the description of today's show. Now, early voting begins on Monday, April 22nd, and goes through Tuesday, April 29th, with the Election Day on Saturday, May 3rd. You're watching this because you want to be an informed voter, so be sure to share the link to this program with your friends and neighbors who can vote in this race. So until next time, I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, looking forward to seeing you at the polls. Blessings.